Well, hello again. Welcome back to the Creatives Conversation, or if you're here for the first time, welcome. This is produced by Helps Too, which is the marketing agency that I run. And my name is Gabriella Martay, and I am here with the infamous, just kidding, maybe the famous around here.
Maybe neither of those.
Brandon Blackman, and he runs a business called Budget with Purpose. Let's jump into it.
Say your podcast name again.
It's called the Creatives Conversation.
Creatives Conversation.
With a plural apostrophe. Creatives apostrophe. Yeah.
I'm horrible at grammar.
Plural and possessive. So.
Oh, so it's the creatives.
Like many creatives.
Yeah,
it
it's their
to
conversation.
Yeah, conversation.
I love that.
And you're creative, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Do you feel like you're creative?
No, not really.
Why not?
I think because most of what I do is so numbers driven that I just don't think of myself. I don't do music. I'm like the guy at the at the birthday party that I'm like mouthing the words, because if I start singing the words, everybody's like side-eyeing me like, wow, he's way off tune.
You are gifted.
Yeah, lack thereof.
It is hard for me to sing because I do music. It's hard for me to sing off key.
Yeah.
That's talent to me. If I could do that, I would be like, whoa, I can come in and out of the key.
Thank you. That makes me feel, so there's a place for me then at the table.
There's a place for you right here at this table.
That's awesome.
So I want to hear more about your business. I mean, first of all, I know about Brandon's business because at our church, Brandon is so gracious to have told all of us to come along for a journey. 6 weeks, right?
8 weeks, actually. But I think we shortened ours to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's usually 8 weeks. 6 weeks for us, but we have gone on this financial journey, and I feel personally like I've gotten a lot of healing, not to be totally weird, but a lot of healing.
That's
and
awesome.
Like new perspective.
Yeah.
And then you started one class, you were telling us a little bit about like your college journey.
Yes.
And how you were like a crazy entrepreneur.
Oh,
like
yeah.
at a young age. So first of all, I want to hear about that, but later.
Okay.
But tell us what you do.
So what I do in relation to Budget with Purpose.
Yes.
Is that, okay.
And if you want to go beyond that, you can.
That
Yeah.
yeah,
you can give us a full picture if you want. It's up to you.
All right. So Budget with Purpose. I'm a financial coach, daily money manager. So financial coach / daily money manager. The way I see my purpose in Budget with Purpose is just helping people and educating them in personal finance.
Yeah.
Some of that involves like investments. Like first thing people hear or think when they hear financial coach is, oh, you help people with investing. I try to veer away from that. I don't want to risk people's money. Instead, I rather help them set up a budget that enables them to invest or save or do whatever they want. And so, that's my focus. I've got, it started off with my own personal journey where I was in, I don't want to say so much debt, but I had credit card debt. I tried that game where you like take out a 0% interest credit card and then you roll it over into the next one and then roll it over into the next one. And it just snowballed. Like I was just like, oh, I'll put it on my 0% balance and keep it going. And it ended up being huge. I think maybe to some this won't sound huge, but I think mine was like when I finally started paying it off, it was like at 18 to 20,000. And I mean,
that's not chump change.
It's not chump. And I was fresh out of college. I think what I was making salary wise, oh gosh, this is bringing me way back, like 28,000, I think. Like it was
like more than half
so
your
my
income.
debt, was as much as my income.
Wow.
And it was high interest. So it was it was awful. But
what was like the moment that like
made
you think different?
I wanted to buy a Jeep Wrangler.
Shut up.
Yeah, actually.
We're laughing because I drive a Jeep.
Yeah, I wanted to buy a Jeep Wrangler. And
no wonder you always talk about my Jeep.
Yeah, I love
like
Jeep Wranglers. I will have another Jeep one day.
You will get one. Yeah, for sure.
But I went to get the loan for the Jeep, and they're like, you have too much debt. And I'm like, oh, frick. So I found out ways to pay down the debt really, really fast. It led me to Dave Ramsey, who's huge into the financial.
We love Uncle Dave.
Yeah, honestly, Dave Ramsey's who got rid of my credit card debt.
Really?
And that's why I tell people, if you want a fast way to get rid of your debt and be debt free, Dave Ramsey's the way to go.
All the way, yeah.
Yep.
He's serious about that.
I love Dave Ramsey. I watch him on YouTube. I keep up with his videos.
Me too. That's
he's
probably
great.
why I like you.
Yeah.
This is my brother.
But the thing that I use, not a bone to pick, but just the thing that I use to separate myself from the Ramsey program is, and he'd so disagree with me, but
Uncle Dave, if you want to come on the show with Brandon again, we can hash it out.
He'd be like, I don't know what name he'd call me. He'd call me some name probably, but I like to think of my budget as a little bit more sustainable than the Dave Ramsey beans and rice and beans, get out of debt as fast as you can type of budgeting system.
Yeah.
Just because.
And he does say that, rice and beans. Like,
he
that's
does.
not you making it up.
That
he
is
says that all the time.
Philosophy.
Yeah.
If
whatever
you
you
have
got to
debt,
do.
whatever you got to do, get out of debt. And I like to compare it to a juice diet. So if you want to lose weight, or the Slim Fast diet, if you want to lose weight, like those things will get you to slim down. Like there's a reason why people love it. But oftentimes people can't keep the weight off with a juice diet or with a Slim Fast program or whatever, name it, really quick solution.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started experiencing is I paid off the credit card debt really, really fast. But then I got into this mentality of, I'll just, like I eventually bought the Jeep Wrangler, old one.
Okay.
Yep. Took out a loan on it. And I thought to myself, I'll just pay it off really fast. Like I was able to pay off $20,000 worth of credit card debt really fast. So what's going to stop me from paying off this new debt really, really fast? And it got into this mindset of, I'll buy as much as I want now because in my mind I'm thinking I'll just attack it again with the Dave Ramsey solutions
later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Later. And then of course you go into, again, with the diet situation, you go into this idea of like feast or famine.
Yeah.
Feast or famine.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So you starve yourself to lose the weight. And then once you're done, you lose the weight, then you're like, I can eat anything. And, as you're eating, you're like, I'll just starve myself next week again kind of thing. And it's not a healthy mindset to be in.
No.
Nor is it sustainable for the long run. So I ended up looking at my own personal finances and figuring out a way through a bunch of research, reading other budgeting programs, and kind of just mixing a lot of systems and philosophies together to arrive at a solution and a framework and a set of tools that worked really well for me.
Okay.
The thing that worked well is that it was super flexible. Didn't matter what my income was. The budget moved with it. The decisions were fairly already made for me. So, so for example, I follow the allocations of 50% of my income goes to needs, 30% of my income goes to wants, and 20% goes to, I like to call it dreams, but savings would be the more typical 50-30-20 model. So what that means is if my income goes up, then the budget stays the same. If my income goes down, the budget stays the same. 50%, 30%, 20%.
Which has revolutionized my whole life.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
So
I'm not saying that for the camera, like for real.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah.
Do you want to share how?
Yeah, I do.
I know it's
we
your podcast.
We can take this and put it on Brandon's website.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm an entrepreneur, as you know, and you are too, and that's why I invited you here, because I love picking the brains of entrepreneurs. But we'll get to that later. I think for me, my income has fluctuated. And so Dave Ramsey, whom I love, and I have followed him up until this point, and he has helped me get to a certain place.
Yep.
But there, with the feast and famine mentality, not that that's his mentality, but I kind of adopted that, taking on his program, which is not his fault.
No.
Dave's way works. It really does. So if you're watching this, I love you, Dave.
We're not hating on Dave.
We love you, Uncle Dave. Okay. I think I said that like 5 times. Okay. It's apparent. We love you. I call him Uncle Dave. When I watch people on TV a lot, I start calling them uncles and aunties.
Uncles.
Like pastors and like financial coaches, Uncle Dave. Like, okay. Anyways,
funny.
So for me, it was very much like, well, it was one thing that you said when we took the course. And the first thing was 50% needs, right? 30% wants, 20% investment streams, savings. So one thing I had never really considered, even though Dave does talk about this, hey, get an extra job. But in my mind, I really needed some kind of ratio to make it make sense.
Yeah.
And that helped me when I put all my needs into your spreadsheet. Brandon is equipped, y'all, like has everything you need to figure all this out. Like you don't have to do it on your own. And so when I did your worksheet and your program, I'm looking at my needs and I'm like, I think I need to get more money to increase my overall, or either make my needs die down. So I need to figure this out. And so I took on other income sources and I was like, this makes sense. And so
it sounds like it's all in balance. So you had, it sounds like you had your needs was taking up more of your income than the 50%.
Right. But I never had a way to figure that out.
To judge that.
Yeah. You gave me like the right perspective and like almost like a microscope or filter, however you want to see it. To like actually sit down and say, these are needs, which your program's more gracious than I thought it would be, because things I thought were like wants were actually needs.
Oh, okay.
And so I ended up in this place where I'm like, actually, I don't have to like kill myself and and never have fun, and you're a lot more gracious, and I think I needed that. Because I graduated, y'all about to know all my business right now. $140,000 in debt from college. So I actually didn't have a lot of consumer debt, but that $140K when I graduated and my loans were all in order, and God has done miraculous things for sure, and I'm not there at all anymore, but my payment was $700 straight out of college.
Wow.
I had like 6 months to figure it out. Like,
that right
little,
there
like,
is a part-time
period.
job.
Oh yeah, and
just to do minimum payments.
And I lived in California, so that's somebody's mortgage here in the Midwest.
I know, right?
I could buy a whole house or two, maybe, And so as a young person, I was freaking out, like, and so if I were to do Dave's program, which we love you, but like, I just in my mind, and it probably wasn't this bad, I would have probably been not eating out for like 15 years.
And that's it. Yep. And then you're just like throwing everything you're making to the debt.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Which, I mean, so in the program, we consider your minimum debt payment to be a part of your needs. Although we'll say like you do whatever you want to do to make it work for you. But I would come at it from a starting point of try to get your minimum debt to fit within the needs allocation. So that 50%.
Yeah.
So that means 50% of your income needs to not just cover your rent, your groceries, your utilities, everything that you need in life, but also that minimum payment. And so that then further encourages you to maybe look for a part-time job or find the courage to ask your boss for a raise or a promotion.
Which is another thing that, I felt like you kind of like held my hand in the details in your course, because it's not a Dave versus Brandon Blackman thing. We're going to just leave Dave off the table. But
we love you, Dave.
They're just going to have different clips like, take this, Dave, take that, Dave. But like legitimately, I just felt like it was so clear the way you, number one, explained it all. But then you were like, hey, there was a season in my life where me and my wife, we hustled and we did this, this, and this. And so I had this like just pure encouragement to like get out there and make a difference. Yeah.
One of the things that the way we approach the budget itself is actually, so if it's an 8-week course, we actually don't get to the physical budget until week 6, I think. So near the end.
Yeah.
And the last 2 weeks are really just kind of customized for the client or the student for whatever they need personally. So really it's nearly the very last course that we finally get to setting up a budget.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because I want people to know what's driving them, like what's going to make the decisions for their budget. And oftentimes we get to their budget and they're like, my needs is taking up 70% of my income right now. Like, if we would have gotten there on the first day of the class, I think people would have been like, it's a lost cause.
Disheartened.
Disheartened,
not coming back.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But instead, we spent the first 5 weeks finding things like your purpose. So budget with purpose.
Which I love.
Setting some goals, very specific goals for yourself.
Yeah, figuring
to achieve.
Out your money, like, I don't know what you call it, like the way you see money.
Yep, the way you see money. Yep, how you approach money.
Yeah.
Also seeing like where your finances are today versus where they need to be too is really eye-opening to people. Because oftentimes people just don't even know where they are financially. They just run the credit card, and as long as it keeps going through, they're not going to think twice about it, kind of thing.
It's true.
Which works. Like, it's great until it doesn't work. And then you're like, oh, shoot, now I got to fix this. Yeah. But then we roadmap the future, too, which kind of it's really more of a vision board. So to really set a vision for your life. And then we get to the budget. So then when you see that your needs is taking up 60 to 70% of your income, and it should be 50%, you don't feel like quitting because you've now got a vision for your life. You've now got these very specific, attainable, SMART goals is what we call them, SMART goals.
Yeah.
And you're not going to just throw in the towel.
And they seem so possible.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
I like how I told you to like introduce what you do, and we're like totally.
I know.
But I love it. No, yeah. Because I thought I invited you on here just to hear like your entrepreneurial, like life and vision and how your story. But I think there's so many creatives, including myself, who are really feeling like they don't have the resources, right, to do what they want to do. And I will say this, Brandon, your course brought back like that ability to say, no, I can do, like my dreams are possible. And so actually I want to pause you and make you answer a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What would you say to a creative who is struggling financially? Like if you could give some advice or like point them somewhere. I mean, of course they can come to your website, take your course, go to his website, take his course, especially if you can. But like
budgetwithpurpose.com.
There you go. Boom. There it is. So, and we'll have links to that if you're watching on YouTube and then the podcast, whatever. But tell them like honest from the heart, like no sales pitch, which I know you're not going to do anyways, but like real advice. What can they do?
So the first thing you've got to do, and I mentioned this on the first class that you were in, is you've got to face the dragon. All right. I call it the dragon, the monster. It is the thing that honestly, it's more prevalent in real life than we probably realize, but in fairy tales, like the thing that the main character wants is usually behind some sort of big, scary dragon, like the challenge. Like you think of, Harry Potter, right? And to get to the end of the series, you have to go through Voldemort, and Voldemort's like the big scary thing that no one even wants to say his name kind of thing. Or you think about the knight in shining armor that has to get to the gold. Well, the gold is protected by this big scary dragon that none of the townspeople want to go to kind of thing. And so this idea is that we all have dragons in our life. Like we all have these monsters, these things that we don't want to look at.
Yeah.
And if you are struggling with finances, I'm willing to bet my own money that your dragon might be something to do with money. Like it might be, it's overwhelming, or you don't feel like you make enough, or you have too much debt, or you feel like, the student loans will never go away. And so the thing that I would tell people if they're struggling with finances is just look at it. Like find some courage, dig down really deep, and open up your finances, log into all your credit card accounts, log into all your checking accounts, and just see how bad it is. So that way you really know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find out, oh, it's actually not that bad. But
that was
other
me.
times,
like literally 2 days ago, Brandon helped me, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what's the word? Trepidation. I was like, I don't know, doing something on the inside. I was like, this is going to be horrible when we figure all this out. And he's like, it's not that bad.
It's actually, yours was great. Yeah.
I've
seen worse, put it that way.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But some people, that is worse. And so that is, though, the thing that at least now you know how to hit it because you're looking at it. So it might be just as scary or maybe even scarier than you thought, but you're at least looking at it. And so you know how to maybe
and that's
put a
the
plan
first
together.
Step to the plan. Yeah. Okay, what would be like the next tip?
Okay, so then the next tip is to get it under control. So if it's wild and you're spending money like crazy, like find the leaks and fix the leaks kind of thing with your finances. And that's where it gets hard to like generally speak, just because everybody is different. Some people, I say that you have two levers to work with. You've got your income, so to fix your financial situation, you can make more money. Yeah. That's one lever you can pull. And then you've got your expenses, and that is to bring them down. And so Start playing with either one of those levers. I know as creatives and as entrepreneurs, the last thing we may want to do is go actually work for someone other than ourselves.
Yeah.
But even if you get a job very temporarily, like put a very specific plan together.
I have done this.
Yeah, I'm going to go deliver pizzas for the next 3 to 6 months. That can make a huge difference on your finances. And so that's upping that income lever. And maybe at the same time, you're going to say, I'm not going to buy any coffee shop coffee for the next 3 to 6 months.
Which does add up.
It adds up. Yep. And so that's then bringing down the expenses lever. So you've got 2 switches to play with. Get creative on how you're going to flip those switches and change that, and get everything under control. And then start putting together what I would say is some sort of vision or plan for your life. Set some very specific goals for yourself that you can attain, and build a budget that fulfills those goals. Don't build a budget to tell you how you can spend or what you can buy or can't buy, because that's not sustainable. Build a budget that's going to actually make your dreams come true, which I know sounds so cheesy, but actually like build a budget that's going to drive towards
with the 50,
what you
30,
really
20,
want.
It makes it so 30, realistic.
20, it's built in. So the reason why I call the 50, so if you Google 50, 30, 20, you're going to come up with a lot of information about needs, wants, and savings is usually what they put in there. I tweaked it to say dreams, because the 20% dreams could be saving money, or it could be investing. It could be paying off debt. It could be whatever your dream is.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what I do is I achieve those dreams through small baby step type goals. So maybe your goal is to buy a home. Eventually, that's your dream.
Yeah.
Well, in order to buy a home, you have to pay off some of your credit card debt, because that minimum payment is like huge right now.
Way too big.
And so you set a goal to pay off the minimum payment, but then you also have a goal in between buying the home and paying off the debt to actually save up a down payment. So now you've got these like little baby steps of SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely goals. That's smart.
Brandon Blackman, smart everybody, goals. On the mic.
On the mic. With no rhythm.
Check 1 2 1 2. You should make that into a song, like low key.
I can't. I
hire
said
someone.
No music. Okay, I'll hire.
Financial.
Are you available, Gabby? To
actually
rap?
Good.
Make a rap for me.
Just don't put my name attached to it.
TikTok. We could do TikTok.
We could. Okay, we'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk. I'm not kidding. We'll talk. Okay, so this is really good. I just feel like this is a lot of information.
Yes.
I think my one tip, if I would ask myself, what's one tip you would give somebody? Because I do have a lot of financial progress I've made. So coming from college, $140,000 in debt. Some miracles I could talk about, but I'm low key. I'm like, I don't know if I'm like able to tell them publicly yet. I keep them under the table. So like fireside kind of conversations, but like I have had debt erased. Yeah. Like in major ways. So that's God. But I will say this, my one tip would be to ask for help.
That's good.
And I felt like, sorry, I feel like I'm having like a testimony night.
No, that's good.
I felt like when I met Dave Ramsey, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like it felt more like an exercise plan, but you felt like an exercise coach.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if Dave was in my life, like real time, it'd probably feel like that too. But like I felt peace and the ability when I just asked for help.
Yeah.
And I knew, and sometimes it's not because you're sinking.
No.
It's because you need to get to the next level.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of us creatives were like, I want to get to the next level, but I'm scared to ask somebody for help. And I think finances, like we have to be honest as creatives, right? When I make music or when I put out stuff with Helps Too, like this podcast or whatever, it doesn't fund itself. It costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the videographer costs money, whom I love. He's behind the camera. You gave a peace sign. Like, that's me. You know, the marketing costs money.
Yep.
No artist wants to put out art and then it never gets seen.
Right.
I don't care who we are, like what we claim, right?
Yep.
We don't want to do that. And so I would say ask for help. Brandon, before we wrap this up, I want you to talk a little bit about your artistic journey, even though you're not musically inclined. Yeah. But like your story about college and everything, how you became an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Like what is one tip maybe before we, come to the end here Because you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You're not just like giving financial advice and that's all you're about. Like you're not working only for some big corporation. You're running your own business.
Right.
And it looks good. You have like funnels and stuff
Yeah.
like from a marketing perspective.
I got landing pages. I got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. What is like one piece of advice as an entrepreneur, which is very creative, that you would give to everybody who's like listening?
Oh, man. That's a good question.
I know.
One piece of advice?
Or like your biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's hard.
Don't forget, I'm stealing this from someone else, and I'll give credit to him, although I forget his name, but I know his book. Don't forget to pay yourself. Like, that's what I would say. So, I've had so many little failed business ideas, but the thing that crashes the business usually is I just get burned out. Like, I end up spending money, and then I never see it again. And so there's a book, forget the author, but it's called Profit First. And the whole concept is pay yourself first. So as an entrepreneur, and I did this with Budget with Purpose. This was the first entrepreneur idea that I had that I was like, I'm going to set out and do this and pay myself first. And you're going to laugh at this because it's also allocation based. But everything I make at Budget with Purpose, right away, 50% of it goes into my checking account. The other part of it, the other piece of the revenue stays in my business, like checking accounts and stuff.
Okay.
So that's why I would say, and what is going to be challenging to entrepreneurs, and if you're an entrepreneur, the first thing you probably thought is like, I don't have money to pay myself. Like I got to pay for marketing.
That was
I
my
got to pay
initial
for these
thought
things.
when I jumped into all this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just like with budgeting, when you put it together, like 50, 30, 20, my allocation for business for my operating expenses, OPEX, is 30%. So every sale I make, 30% of that has to fund the operating expenses of my business.
Got it.
And that forces me to make decisions of, do I really need this, Mac computer, or could I get the Chromebook kind of thing? Like
the Chromebook.
Right, the Chromebook. It's the
real.
thing that helps make the decisions for whether or not you need something. So that's why I would say pay yourself first. That's why you get into being an entrepreneur in the first place, is so that you don't have to work for someone for a living.
You set me free when you said that. I said, oh yeah.
Yeah. You want to work for yourself. And even better, you don't even want to work at all. You just want to like put together, you want to follow your passions and it just pay you. So
that's good. Okay. Let's have some funny questions real quick.
All right, here we go.
What's your most useless talent?
My most useless talent? I remember useless facts.
Really?
So like Kansas City history, for example.
Yeah.
Does your audience know you're in Kansas City?
Yeah, they should.
Cool.
And if you don't, now you do.
There's some fun history here. Like
there
there's
really
like
is, yeah.
mafia history here and prohibition
yeah,
history
you're
here.
right.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff here. And so I'll be just like walking down the street with some friends or driving down the road, and I'll be like, did you know that this building was blah, 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 blah? And it's like useless information, but for some reason those things stick.
Super wonderful.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked this question to most everybody. If you were on an island, you could only take 3 things. What would they be?
Can the internet be one of them? Is that like, okay,
yeah.
The internet?
Absolutely. Well, then you have to have something for the internet. Let's just say there's Wi-Fi there.
To access.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
There's Wi-Fi on the island.
Then a device to access the internet then.
Okay.
And a solar powered charging station for the device. And
that was really good.
Actually, once you have the device for the internet and solar power for the charging, like you don't need anything else, because like food, right? Well, I just Google how to go hunt or how to go fish. And I don't have a fishing pole, but I just Google like how to make a fishing pole.
This is Brandon Blackman, everybody. I actually relate to you because my answer was like, I'll take the word of God with me, but like you can get that on a device.
But I got an app for that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're good. And so I'd take a laptop and then I'd take some seeds, like
some seed. Oh yeah,
just in case. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Seeds.
Sorry, you didn't get your third one in.
All right,
so
seeds.
I feel like okay,
I'd
dang
make
it,
some
I just
seeds.
influenced you. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then lastly, how can people connect with you?
The easiest way is budgetwithpurpose.com. There's tons of forms there that you can fill out, and they'll all come to me, or Facebook Messenger. I'm huge on Facebook Messenger. I got a fun little chat bot on there.
Facebook
It's
Messenger.
not annoying. It just
Wow, you're
collects
like
your
inviting people
information.
into your personal life.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Budget with Purpose Facebook Messenger. If you want to find me on Facebook too, that's fine. I probably won't accept. I'm kind of picky with that. But.
So am I. Yo, this was way too short. I feel like we're going to have you back on.
Okay.
Yeah. So the goal is to like have creatives. Like I would love to have like 4 people at once.
That would be fun.
Like an actual conversation.
Yep.
And so perhaps you guys leave some comments and questions for Brandon and we will bring him back because he's the real deal and we have a lot more to uncover with him. So
whatever the comment, whatever the question, I promise I'll provide an answer for.
Okay.
So,
wow, that's deep.
That's a double
deep.
dare. Yep.
It's a double dare. Okay. So try to provide a question that he can't answer.
Now I'm worried. Like maybe.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'd be like questions that are unanswerable.
No deepest, darkest secrets.
About finance. Okay. Well, thank you, Brandon, for coming on. And you guys make sure you subscribe and go just catch up with Brandon and like follow his stuff and just get to know what he does. It's really incredible.
Yep.
And we will see you next time on the Creatives Conversation. Bye.
Bye.